Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Oh, how the mighty has fallen. And I'm talking about Julian at this point. This guy, listen, in my other videos, I've talked about Julian. And I've talked about how, well, just how much his character has gone downhill. Up and to the point where you sit there texting and calling Ava every 5 minutes and then try to see if Ava can save his ass. Now Ava's over there with Sonny talking, and Sonny gets to a point of talking about Ryan. Like, hey, listen, I got a call from Ryan, and I'm just thinking about taking a visit to see him. And Ava does her best to sit there and try to persuade Sonny to not go. Talk about he just does mind games, this, that, and the third. Sonny's like, you know what? I'll think about it. Because at first he's like, why would Ryan want to call me for? Like, what? Do you know something that I don't know? You know, Ava's like, nah. I mean, he's crazy. He's a sociopath, literally. So they go back and forth, and, Sonny's like, listen, I'll think about what you said if I decide to go and see Ryan or not. And, Ava goes back to Julian's bar and is telling Julian, hey, listen, Ryan called Sonny. It ain't good. Maybe you need to sit there and take Nicholas up on his offer. Julian, being the selfish person that he is all like, oh, all you had to do was do this for me and do that for me, and all you had to do was sit there and, just divorce him. Ava made a great point about how, why should I sit there and sacrifice what I'm doing to fight your battles? I mean, seriously, this is what we're doing now? You getting your sister to sit there and fight your battles? Listen, I get it. It's 2020, and listen, women are kicking ass, okay? I know a few women that can sit there and take me without problems. But I'm sitting there saying, if she's supposed to be, let's just sit there and say your baby sister, come on, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What? She was exactly right. You are literally having her fight your battles. This is what the great Julian came to? So, Ava's like, listen, I'll go back, after Julian pretty much kind of guilt trips her, oh, I don't want to leave my life and this, that, and the third. First of all, what life are you living right now? Your kids don't like you. Alexis, well, she can't stand you. Kim left. Why are you here for again? I'm missing something. Besides your sister, why are you here? So, Ava's like, let's not go back to Pentville. I'll come up with something. Julian is like, cool. So, I'm going to call Cyrus and make a deal. And Cyrus walks in, and Julian is all, well, he's all in, ass-kissing mode. Let's just be honest. He was like, hey, listen, I'm ready to make a deal. Then that scene ends. Now, let's talk a little bit about the hospital and about Cyrus, because he's there. And, he talks to Portia, and, once again, brings up her daughter, brings up her husband. Portia's not having it. One thing you need to understand about Portia is not having it. Okay? And Portia was like, listen, we could be cordial, whatever, but don't talk about my husband, don't talk about my daughter. And we're good, We're good. Sorry, it is kind of late, and I don't really eat much, so yeah. I'm not going to make this a regular thing, but where was I? So after Portia leaves and goes, the weird thing is, okay, so Portia, okay, now I remember what happened. So Portia, goes to the elevator. Cyrus follows behind her like a creep. I'm not gonna lie. Why would you get in the same elevator that you just literally had an argument with? But they, are, I guess, going upstairs or downstairs or whatever. Meanwhile, you got Jordan and TJ arguing because TJ wanted to do a protest. He filed for some sort of permit, and he found out that Jordan was the person that was blocking him. And so TJ is upset because he doesn't understand what's going on. And he's like, you've been preaching to me since I was 5 about standing up for your beliefs, this, that, and the third. Oh, and by the way, I want to, well, not really apologize, but since I have a community tab yet, I didn't do yesterday's GH because, well, it was a PSA, and I just, no. So yeah, I didn't do it yesterday, if you can tell. So anyway, yeah, they're arguing back and forth. Jordan's like, I'm just trying to do what's right for you, and I don't want you to sit there and mess up your career, this, that, and third. They're going back and forth. And then Portia and Cyrus both overhear some, so they walk over. And, Cyrus kind of gets, TJ kind of gets in his face a little bit, and he's all like, I'm going to sit there and stand up for you because you fired this person, you fired that person, and I'm going to make some noise, and yada, yada, yada. And then Cyrus is like, you want to sit there and talk about injustice? Let's talk about your mother that, put me to jail for years for something I didn't do. Let's talk about that. And granted, he did raise his voice, so he was serious. Now, at one point, Portia says something, and Jordan was like, yo, this has nothing to do with you. Just mind your business. So, Cyrus is like, listen, I'm management, save lives, do all that good stuff. Let me do my thing, you do your thing. Just not make any noise, alright? Let's just not do that. And then he walks off. So now you got, I think at one point TJ walked off too, and now you pretty much just got, Portia versus Jordan. They go back and forth, and Portia's like, listen, you pulled Chase off the case. You haven't really been finding out what's been going on with Tiger and his death. Now you're blocking TJ's permit. What if I want to get a permit? Would you try to stop me? Jones was like, I want to save you guys, and this, that, and the third. And at this point, Portia's like, alright, you know what? Yeah, you're reeking with, corruption. And she didn't say that, but that's pretty much the language that she was speaking to her. And, at that point, she walked off. And, listen, I feel bad for Jordan. I'm not gonna lie. I feel bad for her because she's in a position where she has to sit there and play it up. She has to sit there and take the brunt of Portia's anger and TJ's anger and probably everyone else's anger because she has to save their lives. So Jordan's in a position where she can't really do much of anything. She can't really do much of anything. Franco talks to Kevin because the tumor, and he feels like it's going to start reverting him back to the old Franco. Now, Kevin asked him the question. Kevin's like, have you been missing any block of time? And, Franco's like, I don't know. Now, it's kind of weird for him to sit there and say, I don't know, because, he's asked him a series of questions, and he never brought up once about the painting. The painting was done differently. Ava's painting was done differently. He never brought that up. I'm like, if you want his help, you can't sit there and lie to him, And of course, Kevin was like, you need to sit there and tell your loved ones, and, Franco being Franco is probably not going to do it because plot. Let's just be honest. Now let's talk about, I think I'm kind of done with that. He doesn't tell Kevin, and it pretty much doesn't really go too much of anywhere, except for that Kevin's on board as far as helping them. So let's talk about Anna and Alex. You know what? Can we get more of Alex? Because Alex is the fun one. You know what I really don't like about Anna is that she comes across as pretentious sometimes. And I think that is the majority of reasons why I do not like her. So they go back and forth, and you find out that Alex is hiding from some dangerous people. And she's like, you know what? I can just be you for a while. Now, Anna's like, listen, we may look alike, but we are not the same. Like, personality-wise, we're not the same. Somebody's going to catch on. Which is true. Because they talk, and they talk, and they talk. And granted, somehow, apparently she got the gag off her mouth, but she didn't have enough time to get the duct tape off. They talk, and then, the doorbell rings. Valentine. Now, Valentine comes over, and, Alex pretends to be Anna, which, by the way, does a terrible job. They talk for a little bit, and Valentine's like, listen, you need to tell Peter that Alex is his son. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It gets to a point where Alex is like, I have to sit there and protect my son or whatever. Or something. She says something along the lines of my son. And Valentine's like, what? What did you say? Now, Alex tries to clean that up, talking about, oh, wow, I felt like he's been my son for a year, and blah, 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 blah. And at first I'm sitting there thinking, please don't fall for that, Valentine. You are so much smarter for that. You're not going to fall for that, right? You're not going to fall for that. You didn't fall for that. You didn't fall for that. There's one point where they're talking, and, right from jump, Valentine knew that there was something off about the way that Anna was acting, and when she slipped up on the whole son thing, that's when he was like, yeah. So they're having this awkward conversation, and Valentine's like, hey, listen, I need you to go give me some water. And she's like, yeah, sure, where's my manners or whatever. And she walks off. At this point, Alex knows that she screwed up. She knows that Valentine caught on to her. Valentine knows that that's not Anna. So they, Alex walks away. Now Anna, aka Super Spy, actually managed to get the duct tape off, and she's all yelling, and Valentine overhears, he hears where Anna is, and I'm sitting there thinking, maybe I should just watch my back, just in case, since we know that that's Alex, maybe you should just watch our back. No? Okay, cool, why not? But, you know what, listen, Alex got the drop on Anna, and she's a so-called super spy, and apparently, I guess Alex was trained in that too a little bit, so, okay, whatever, fine. But, Alex sticks Valentine with a needle, or something, and that pretty much ends that scene. Now let's talk about, because I didn't think about this for a minute. Let's talk about Peter versus Spinelli. So earlier, Peter is like, he's just fuming, and he's like scared, and he's like, what's going on? And he talks about Helena. And Valentine's like, listen, that could have been just Spinelli. He informs Peter that most likely is Spinelli. He ran into him before. He was very content with Peter. And he's like, most likely he did it. He's a smart person. He could have came up with some sort of software. And so with that being said, Valentine's like, listen. Because, Peter's all, he gets into like supervillain mode. He's like, I'm going to crush him and stuff like that. And Valentine's like, you do know that that Spinelli's friend / brother, pretty much, is Jason. The killer. Yeah, let's not do anything hasty. Let's just, be the better person and just kind of let him be a fly on the wall. Enjoy your life, whatever. And so Peter calls Spinelli over to, I guess, Charlie's? Yeah, they're Charlie's. So, long story short, Peter threatens Spinelli. He pretty much says, listen, I knows you, that was behind that whole, voice thing, and you're plotting against me, and it's going to stop, and it's going to stop now. And he pretty much basically says, listen, if you don't stop, I'm going to revert back to the old me. The old me that kind of makes people disappear. Yeah, I'm going to do that to you. And, Spinelli seems like, granted, I could have been wrong, but he seemed like he was worried. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if I had Jason in my corner, and I had Sonny in my corner, I don't know how worried I would be of Peter. I don't think I would really, granted, I'll be cautious, but I don't think I'll be worried. This guy seemed like he was like, oh, yeah, I totally got you. I'm not going to do anything. Like, really? Like, you sure about that? Because you do have people. You're not, like, lone wolf or anything, but whatever. So, yeah, he pretty much threatens, Spinelli to stop, bothering him and, unraveling his life. And I guess time will tell if Spinelli is going to actually comply or actually, have some balls and be like, hey, I have people with me. What's good? Yeah, I think that's actually pretty much about it. I don't think I really actually missed too much, and if I did, it probably wasn't that important. I just want to make sure that I didn't, because this actually had a lot of people in it, and I felt like Liz's presence in this episode was pointless. It was absolutely pointless. Why did she actually even bother to show up for... Why did they get the actor to actually show up for work? Did you just like paying people extra money or something? Because, yeah, okay, so Liz and Franco both, Franco escorted Liz to the hospital or whatever to work, and then at that point, Franco did his thing. Liz was kind of a bug, hiding out in the corner. And then, you had Cyrus and Portia going at it. And what exactly was the point of Liz actually being there? So, yeah, I kind of want to make sure that I didn't forget anything. Alex is a much funner version of Anna, and I wish Anna can be a little bit more like Alex, but, why should I get what I want? And with that being said, yeah, that's actually going to do it. So thank you so much for watching. I know this came out super late, but busy day at work, and then I actually went out and voted, and that kind of took a little bit. So with that being said, I'm going to go. Have a good night or good day, depending on when you're watching this. Be safe. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Peter's always actually pretty kind of fun and interesting when he turns into this whole, I don't know, supervillain or whatever. That's the only way I could sit there and describe him, especially him versus Spinelli, but whatever. Be safe. I will catch you in the next review. Oh, and by the way, my review may be coming out a bit later tomorrow. Not too late, not like now, but I am actually going to go and try to see a movie, because the movie theaters actually opened up around me, and, well, I'm going to be honest, I actually want to see New Mutants before it, goes totally bye-bye. I can see it, on demand, but I'd rather see it in the theater if it's actually playing. And that actually comes on around the same time as GH, so, yeah. But with that being said, most likely my day's review will be a lot earlier, and I can just focus on GH. Have a good night, be safe, I will catch everyone in the next review.